Are we live? Good morning. Today is Monday, the 7th of November. Before we get into today's stream, let's just have a quick disclaimer. I've got a good one for you today. I'm going to be chatting about upgrades and downgrades. We haven't got any major earnings news that I am interested in, but the major news of the day are the Fed talks and the US midterm elections. Let's head over to upgrades and downgrades first. We have lots of upgrades and downgrades. As you may know, I am new to trading upgrades and downgrades, so we are theorizing the best positions to take. Later on, I'll show you my actual portfolio, but we're basically selecting two longs, two shorts that we think will perform as intended. So we're looking for upgrades and downgrades. We're not interested in maintains, and we're usually looking for the big ratings firms and analytical firms, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, so forth. The ones that are standing out to me so far are, let's have a look. Maintains. Here's a downgrade, but I'm not interested in it. IDACorp, downgrade, Bank of America, IDA. Let's have a look at that one on TradingView. TradingView is not responding today. There we go. So we had a recent earnings, and it was an earnings surprise. And now we have a downgrade, which is interesting. So let's make a little note here and we can track it today. So Bank of America downgrade. So we will be tracking the price from the open and planning to take a short. Let's have a look at the other analyst ratings. By the way, feel free to interact with me in the chat. The messages will pop up and I will get back to you. By the way, stay tuned for later when we've been talking about some interesting Twitter leaks that give us an insight into how the government wants to regulate freedom of speech. Downgrade, downgrade. Here's another major downgrade. Funko. They make plastic children's toys that ads also buy. I'm going to add that to our shorts. So let's go back to TradingView. So we see a little bit of pre-market activity right here, but not a major amount so far. So our metric for success is whether the stock moves up or down as intended. So if it's a downgrade, we expect it to go down at the open, and we're usually looking at the first few candles, and we want the move to be significant relative to the market movement. If the market's up 5%, it doesn't really matter if something moves up or down an equivalent amount, if that makes any sense. And we're going to look at beta as well. Well, in the US, they say beta to work out where the alpha actually is. Feel free to leave any stock recommendations in the chat. We can look at them throughout the day. So our two downgrades for the day are IDA and Funko. Let's try to find two upgrades. If we can't, we'll just move on. But it'll be nice to have a balance of two up, two down. We're also making sure that it's from this morning. We're not interested in yesterday's activity. There's an upgrade for Meta, which is the parent company of Facebook. Let's make that our upgrade. So expect Meta stock to go up at the open. Markets overall in the pre-market are up at the moment, so we'll see how that pans out. There's probably going to be more and more volatility throughout the day as well, due to midterms. I'll show you how it affects my portfolio as well. Up or down doesn't matter, I'll show you. So Meta's already up in the pre-market, quite considerably. So we're expecting a long here. Once I've tracked enough upgrades and downgrades over the coming months, I'll start trading them live if I have access to the stocks. But at the moment, it's just testing for right now. And hopefully it gives you an idea as well how you can test your own strategies. So we want this to be green. And let's find our final long. Should we go with this one? Let's go with NOV, Wells Fargo. That was the 7th of November as well. Perfect. So we have our two longs that open. We've got NOV, and we've got Meta. We've got our two shorts, IDA and FNKO. We'll watch those during open. Open is in approximately 40 minutes. Currently, markets are up in after hours, but it looks like there is some weakness. So even though we may close up, we may close down for the day. We'll have to see how that goes. If we look at yields at the moment, they seem to be fairly stable after the previous interest rate decisions earlier in last week. 2-year yield is at 4.7%, which is very high, and 10-year is at 4.1%. So we have an inverted yield curve, which always is not a good sign, signals potential economic doom. It's a bit over dramatic, but yield curve inversions have signaled most recessions in history. So at the moment, there's almost no incentive to invest in the stock market when you can get your guaranteed, I'm going to say guaranteed, 4.7% from the US government. Let's have a look at the Twitter news. There's a video I want to watch together. If somebody can remind me of the timing so we don't miss market open, but I think we're going to have plenty of time today.
Holy smokes, everyone. Elon Musk is literally draining the swamp right now. The information we're getting right now, I think, is the biggest leak of documents and information since WikiLeaks. And it's going to prove that all these conspiracy theorists that people told was crazy were actually right all along. And really, they're just spoiler alerts. We're also going to go over the latest what is happening at Twitter because employees are freaking out. Elon Musk is...
Again, it's a bit dramatic, but let's get past the sensationalism and see what really is going on.
Is about to make some huge changes. So let's not waste any time, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get straight into the news, the facts, and the data. Well, everyone, this is absolutely hilarious, but this is exactly what should be happening. Everybody should be fact-checked, even the President of the United States. So Twitter fact-checks Biden claim on corporations making billions. Now, I think this is great because the government is coming down hard on misinformation. They're coming hard on malinformation. They want to silence everyone, censor everyone.
It's interesting the parallels between the previous anti-terrorism laws of the US and now the misspeech laws that we have currently. It's almost like we're gearing up for a war and the US just needs to create a reason for it. The anti-terrorism laws seem to have no backing and led to war in the Middle East. And equally now, all these fact-checking laws and government intervention seems to be to create a new war, but perhaps a digital one.
Everyone, punish everyone that makes a mistake or does something incorrect. But literally, every single thing that comes out of politicians' mouth these days is just lie after lie. And it's not like they're trying to hide it. They know they're lying. They know we know they're lying, but they're still lying. All you have to do is listen to one of the press secretaries' press conferences and you see how much they're clearly lying. So if we're going to be fact-checked, if we're going to be held accountable, so should they. And Elon Musk hasn't wasted any time on this. Listen to this. President Biden on Friday was fact-checked by Twitter for inflating the numbers of corporations that were making billions. In a tweet reporting to his followers the facts, the president asserted that 55 corporations made $40 billion in 2020 and paid zero in federal taxes. The tweet included context by readers, noting that Biden's Inflation Reduction Act imposed a minimum tax on corporations with the average pre-tax earnings greater than $1 billion. It noted that 55 of the corporations mentioned by President Biden, only 14 had earnings greater than $1 billion and would be eligible under Biden's tax law. So
it's interesting. If you look at how this is charged, you have two groups of people. You have those that want the big companies to pay more tax, and you have those who want them to pay less tax. And either way, it's just a politically charged feud to increase political engagement. And in reality, no one actually really cares. Just focus on your life and carry on.
For those who don't know, in President Biden's Inflation Reduction Act, he actually tried to make a law there where corporations earning over $1 billion have to pay a minimum 15% corporate tax rate. Now, I'm all for billionaires being held accountable to pay their fair share of tax, but again, the president has to get his facts right before speaking. Think about what you think about.
Think about what you think about.
Now, people, I know what you may be thinking, well, no, that's not draining the swamp. Don't worry, people. It gets better. Just wait a moment. But first, look at this. Elon Musk fires entire Twitter board, making himself sole director. Now, this is very important for free speech and freedom lovers because if you had a board that have to vote on a lot of decisions or make a lot of decisions a lot slower, some people on the board may want to push more censorship, push more suppression of information. But with Elon Musk now being sole director, he can make these decisions on his own. But who knows, there may be another board coming soon. But
it'd be interesting to see if there is a new board or he has ultimate control. I would assume he'd put a new board in place or similar structure and not call it a board, simply because he's so busy with other projects like Tesla and SpaceX.
the biggest bombshell we found out what's happening at Twitter and also what's happening at Facebook, what we've kind of had suspicions of all along, has now come out to be true.
This is the juicy bit, the potential fraud.
This is some shocking information, documents that have been leaked called the DHS leaks. Look at this, everyone. This is shocking. Leaked documents reveal DHS collaborated with Facebook to target disinformation. You may think targeting disinformation, that's a good thing, right? What could go wrong with that? Well, in a perfect world, it would be fine to get rid of disinformation. But unfortunately, what has happened over the past couple of years, a lot of information that they said was wrong has now come out to be true. And the problem is you give these power to certain people that have biases, may have certain biased political opinions.
I think this has gone on through history. It's not just a modern phenomena. in the olden days, you'd have a town crier who would ring out a bell and tell the news, and they were controlled. Then we moved to newspapers, and they had editors, and the editors controlled which articles were published and the tone, and the editors were brought out and controlled. And then the big news company started up, and we had live TV, and it was the same. And the internet's going to be no different. The idea that it changes is a problem with the average person's mindset. There's always going to be oppression of the media channels.
Well, what happens is when they get that feeling of power, well, they don't just start to censor disinformation, they start to censor things they don't agree with, or they start to silence people questioning them, or they start to silence people that oppose the government. And if we let these kind of things continue, this could lead to very draconian measures like what we're seeing in China. And you know what's crazy, Run? Look what
I like how China is used as the draconian measure comparison, where it's as bad in the US and most Western economies as it is in China. I mean, this whole idea that China has a social credit score and it's horrible. I mean, the US has had the same thing. You have a FICO score, you have your credits. Like, it works the same way. Whether you can get a mortgage so you can afford a house or not is dependent on your US social credit score. It's just set up a bit differently.
happens when I Google this. It looks like the results below are changing quickly. If this topic is new, it can take some time for reliable sources to publish information. So that's right, everybody. They're trying to still kind of paint this thing as some crazy conspiracy theory, when no, we have the information, we have the leaked documents, the emails, the text messages. It's looking pretty factual for me right now. Look at this. They say, check the source. Are they trusted on this topic? And come back later. Other sources might have more information.
We're going to talk about this later, but we have a solution that has existed for a long time to this problem.
Information on this topic in a few more hours or days. And I did wait a couple of days to see if there was any of the mainstream media that reported on this, and the only one that I could find is Yahoo. Again, just wait till you hear what Facebook and Twitter, Microsoft, all these tech giants are doing right now. Facebook has created a designated portal through which the Department of Homeland Security, DHS, can directly report claims of disinformation to the company. Now, I bring up a tweet here of Li Feng. He's the one that is doing this investigation that broke this story. Look what his tweet says here. Facebook and Twitter created special portals for the government to rapidly request takedowns of content. The portals, along with the NGO partners, used to censor a wide range of content, including obvious parody accounts and content disagreeing with government pandemic policy. So everyone.
So let's go to the blackboard and kind of map this out. So you have the average person, that's you. You have the government. We're going to draw a little White House. And then we have social media companies. I'm going to put them in a cloud. Social media. Now, public entities, the government, is not meant to infringe on freedom of speech. They're meant to be an open forum for it. That's what the US is founded on. So they are not allowed to limit free speech on their own platforms, on their own public spaces. But interestingly, they've overcome it through this new network where everyday people like you and me interact with social media and generate conversation. And then government entities interact with this by getting their own back-end portals to censor this information. So in real time, they can track the conversation, the narrative building in the people, influence it, change it, label it as misinformation. But the argument is it directly limiting free speech because it is through this layer of a social media company? Do you see the problem? So the government has the incentive of saying they have the obligation to protect national security by limiting misinformation. But in reality, every average day person should be seeing that it's just a mechanism for controlling free speech. And we're going to talk about what you can do about it. Let's get a new whiteboard up.
It is not a conspiracy anymore. We have the documents, we have the proof that these government departments, they have special portals at Facebook, at Twitter, where they can directly go in and say, you know what, we don't like this tweet, censor it. You know what, we don't like this tweet, delete it. You know what, we don't like this person, ban them immediately. They are fighting the establishment and they are fighting our agenda. Because what are their excuse? Well, the First Amendment doesn't apply to us because we're a private company. If we don't like you, we can tell you to leave. And yes.
So the veil and shield of companies acting as government departments is going to be a hot topic in the future of the US. We're going to have increased government regulation of these big entities, and equally going to have pushback of lots of people wanting to set up social media platforms. We've got Kanye West setting up his own, Donald Trump set up his own. It's a huge amount of conservative social media's YouTube alternatives setting up. There's the YouTube alternative Rumble. There seems to be a breakdown and split of the social medias right now, as they all try to take advantage of the political narrative.
They can do that, but if all of a sudden they're colluding with the government, if all of a sudden it's the government censoring people's speech, well, the First Amendment does apply. Despite shattering its widely unpopular Disinformation Governance Board in early 2022, the DHS has continued its underlying plans, documents obtained by The Intercept revealed. And again, people, this is something we've all been suspicious of for years. Remember, Snowden tried to reveal this. He tried to leak this, that the government is spying on you, the CIA, the FBI, they're spying you. And even Mark Zuckerberg recently did an interview with Joe Rogan, admitting that the FBI came to him in 2022 and asked him to suppress, like the Hunter Biden laptop story. The investigation relied heavily on leaked memos, emails, and documents, as well as public documents stemming from an ongoing lawsuit. It shows that despite the DHS...
It shows the weakness of government, and that they can't build and maintain their own high-performance systems. They don't have their own social media that the people use. They haven't built these public utilities. In the olden days, the government would build the train tracks, they would set up the roads, they would plan for the towns. But the new digital equivalent, setting up digital networks, they have not been involved in. It's purely been companies. So there's been a failure that governments are spending more and more and more, but they're not the ones that have actually built out the digital framework. So what has the money really been used on? It's not in building public utilities.
DHS initial backtracking of Disinformation Council, it remains actively involved in lobbying tech companies over misinformation and disinformation. So that's right, everyone. There was this huge pushback on this Disinformation Council because people knew what it would lead to. But of course, they've created some backdoors. They've created some secret agencies, kept it on the down low, hush hush, and they are doing this in the background. And they hoped it would stay secret, but now this story is being broken and the truth is coming out. And listen to what this Microsoft executive says. This is absolutely crazy. Platforms have got to get comfortable with government. It's really interesting how hesitant they remain. One Microsoft executive, formerly a DHS official, texted DHS Director Jen.
Now, this is a conflict of interest. Previous government officials working in tech companies trying to sway involvement between the two.
Easterly in February. So that's right, these big tech lords, they are working directly with the governments. You know what this is a definition of, everyone? Fascism. Because what has the internet triggered? It's triggered huge amounts of free information. It's allowed people to find the truth on so many topics. It's allowed decentralized information, and it's allowed for independent journalists or independent people to share their views on the world. Because before, the government used to be able to have the mainstream media or their state-sponsored media where they'd be able to channel all their propaganda through. But now the internet, they don't have that stranglehold on information, and the mainstream media is losing power.
They have an equal hold on the media in the internet times. It just takes a different shape.
And that's why they're now coming to social media to try to get some of that power back. The investigation focuses on a subgroup within DHS known as the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA. CISA, along with the FBI, met regularly with social media entities as recently as August. Notes that show during these meetings, platforms such as Twitter were requested to process reports and provide timely responses to include the removal of reported misinformation from the platform where possible. And none other than former Twitter executive Vijaya Gadde. Vijaya Gadde, former general counsel for Twitter, who was fired this week as part of Musk's effort to clean house, was part of an advisory committee overseeing CISA at the time. During her tenure, Gadde helped draft a report advocating that the body expand its role into the information ecosystem.
It's a good idea to keep a cap of where she ends up working at next, because I reckon she'll be employed by one of the competitors.
So thank goodness she's gone, but there's many more like her in the industry. One of The Intercept's biggest finding was that the FBI agent who played an instrumental role in pushing social media platforms to center the infamous New York Post story about Hunter Biden's laptop continued to shape DHS policy discussions. The DHS Facebook portal remains active, and the government agency Meta, Facebook parent company, and the FBI have yet to comment on the matter. Well, everyone, it's going to be very interesting to see how they can explain themselves out of this one. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. Who also is at these meetings are big banks like JP Morgan. We're seeing debanking happen more and more right now, and this is what's going to happen in the future. If you say something wrong, you won't just get censored or you won't just get deleted from Facebook, Twitter, etc. You're also going to get debanked, which is what we're seeing happen to many individuals right now.
We need to keep cash gateways open so that this can't happen. The secret is not to use cards and just to set up local businesses that only take cash.
Also, some other big moves that Elon Musk is making right now at Twitter. So Elon Musk has pulled more than 50 Tesla employees into Twitter takeover. Now, this could be a smart move because I'm sure Elon Musk doesn't really trust a lot of these Twitter employees right now. I'm sure a lot of these Twitter employees hate Musk, so he's taking some of his best, brightest, some of the people he trusts in Twitter to review the code, review what they're really doing at Twitter, and find out the facts and find out what they've been doing for all these years. Tesla CEO Elon Musk, now sole director and CEO of Twitter, is asking employees of the social network to redesign their subscription and verification system within 1 week. So that's right, everyone, and this is...
So they're switching from the previous model where advertisers pay for clicks or for views on the site to a subscription-based model where users will pay around $8 a month and get access to a verified checkmark so they feel like they're special. And the aim is that it will shift the reliance on advertisers so you could create this free market, everybody can speak their mind kind of network.
Is causing people to
I'm going to tell you why that actually isn't the case.
Yeah, Musk is now saying it's going to cost you $8 a month to have your blue check verification symbol, because what he's trying to do is trying to get the platform away from having to rely on advertising. Because what I think is going to happen, you're going to see a lot of advertisers pull out of Twitter because
a lot of advertisers have already pulled out. General Mills has, Audi has, there's a large list. But I think it's not just, it's a reaction to they don't know what to do and they'll wait and see what happens with Twitter.
Elon Musk is going it now. I think you're going to see the establishment try to bankrupt Elon Musk by shorting Tesla, crashing Tesla stock. They're also going to try to convince companies and banks to pull out of Twitter and take all the capital away because, again, they're terrified that he may drain the swamp and reveal.
It's interesting, this idea of a proxy war, that they'll attack the publicly traded stock that he owns the most of, which is Tesla.
what the elites have been doing. Musk has authorized dozens of Autopilot software engineers and other Tesla employees to do code reviews and more at the social media network. Twitter employees say managers instructed them to work 12-hour shifts 7 days a week to hit Musk's aggressive deadlines and that their jobs are at stake. Now, people, this is very unfortunate for the Twitter frontline employees. I have sympathy for them. I don't have sympathy for, the...
I think everybody can relate to this at a job, and Elon Musk is not some savior. He generates a ton of hype, and then he uses his employees like trash. He's noted to have done the same at Tesla as well.
Executives that are getting millions and millions of dollars in severance payouts. But unfortunately, the cold hard truth is Twitter is absolutely bleeding money. Elon Musk severely overpaid for Twitter. It was very unfortunate. I think it was really only worth $25 to $30 billion at most.
He hasn't overpaid. He agreed to pay an amount, and then the stock market crashed. So that is incorrect what this man is saying.
And all these advertisers are pulling out, so Elon Musk is going to have to trim the fat, and he's going to really need the employees to, not be able to have their wine on tap anymore, not be able to have their lattes every day, their all-you-can-eat buffet lunches.
Working 12 hours a day, 7 days a week is not equivalent to losing your lattes and your perks. It's an aggressive scheme to kind of weed out who's willing to work for nothing and in really bad environments. And then those will stay and keep their jobs, and the rest will get fired. It's quite an abusive HR tool.
Is playing games all day and watching the sunset. They're going to have to pull out their sleeves and do some hard work in order for Twitter to become sustainable. But again, we just got some new breaking news today that unfortunately maybe up to half of the Twitter workforce is going to be cut tomorrow on Friday. Look at this. Musk plans to eliminate half of Twitter jobs to cut costs. Twitter new owner aims to reduce work.
So Elon's workforce plan is to set this impossible goal of people working 12 hours a day, 7 days a week to try and get this 1 week deadline. And that's kind of the goal he's pushing. And then the other side, he's got this doom and gloom. You're all going to get fired. So he's pushing people to work hard, even though a lot of them are going to get fired.
Workforce starting Friday. Remaining employees will be asked to return to the office. Now, this is massive, everyone. There was rumors he was going to eliminate up to 75% of the workforce, but Elon Musk has come out and said no, it's not true. But still, there is going to be massive job cuts, like they're saying, all the way up to 50%. Elon Musk plans to eliminate about 3,500 jobs at Twitter Inc., or half of the social media company's workforce, in a bid to drive down costs following his $44 billion acquisition, according to people with knowledge of the matter. Musk and a team of advisors have begun weighing a range of scenarios for job cuts and other policy changes at the San Francisco-based Twitter. The people said, adding that the terms of headcount reduction could still change. In one scenario being considered, layoff workers will be offered 60 days worth of severance pay, two of the people said. But what people are saying is Elon Musk, he's gone to the management teams and he's asked them to write up 50% of their employees that can be cut. He's asked to find out what are the employees contributing most to Twitter code, what employees are doing the best job, what employees need to stay. But unfortunately, all those people that have been slacking off, been drinking too many lattes, they're going to be getting the boot. In recent weeks, Musk started hinting at his staffing priorities, saying he wants to focus on core product, software engineering, server operations, and design will rule the roost, he tweeted in early October. So everyone, some big changes happening at Twitter, and hopefully for the better. Hopefully we're going to see more information come out on what the government has been doing with these social media companies like Facebook, Twitter, and now that these social media...
Probably going to come out that there has been more and more involvement. If you think, what other companies are there? There's Snapchat. Instagram's part of Facebook, so it's already been covered, and I assume it's part of that same portal. We've got Twitter. We've got TikTok, which is Chinese controlled, so the US government won't have ties over that. I think those are the majority used social networks at the moment.
Companies actually have some competition. Hopefully the censorship and the people getting their accounts deleted, people getting all their work deleted, becomes less and less.
We have YouTube and LinkedIn as the other major sources. LinkedIn is owned by Microsoft, be interesting to see the government involvement in that, because it's directly related to the labor force.
Less frequent. And I think this is only the beginning, and we're going to have more and more bombshells released in the coming days. But everyone, what do you think about all of this? Let me know down.
I mean, even at YouTube, we've had an increasing number of bans for major profile people that have discussed any political news. So maybe this has already been in place at Google.
Below. Now, for all my loyal viewers and subscribers still watching, you're awesome. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all in the next video.
And this video is quite doom and gloom, so I wanted to cover over a few points. Number one is Elon Musk's strategies. Elon Musk is not some savior out to help you and is interested in free speech. It is just a genius marketing plan. So if you look at Elon's last company, Tesla, everybody thought electric cars were super uncool 20 years ago. No one wanted one. It was something the hippies would drive. And what did he do? He made electric cars super fast, look really nice, have a ton of branding around it. And then he used his own personal brand to generate hype and controversy, which flooded news lines and ended up getting lots and lots of sales over time. He also used government facilities to get various subsidies for people buying Teslas. So he used government resources in maybe not the most productive way. So what has this marketing plan been with Twitter? He's had this public, front-facing, Twitter's the bad man, I'm going to fix all the problems. He's trying to make this prophecy come true that he's going to fix the world. And just in the process, he's been building up all this hype and controversy. And the way that works is by dividing people. And if you've ever heard of the saying, of a house divided falls, this is exactly what's going on. We have the US population, and in essence, he's finding ways to divide it and pin them against each other. So it's those that think Twitter's not got enough to do enough protection against misinformation, and then the people that think misinformation is a scam, and he's basically pinning them against each other to drive this controversy machine that just generates headlines after headlines about him and Twitter, and increasing Twitter in the public discourse so that he can ultimately create a business that's more profitable. I mean, it's purely a profit incentive. I know people are going to disagree with me and say he's a saint. He doesn't care whatsoever. This is just a very good business plan, and he has a track record of executing on business plans that use this controversy model. So avoid it. Don't buy into being divided. Just don't care. And if you really did care about freedom of speech, you just set up your own local little website on a local little server, and it could cost you definitely less than $8 a month. So there is no real excuse. Set up a little simple HTML, CSS website that you can post whatever you want on, and encourage your friends to do it and talk to each other in real life. That is the true way to decentralize speech. Right. Markets open in 9 minutes. Let's see what is happening in the pre-market. So SPY is still up in the pre-market. Will be interesting to see what happens at the open. We've got our 4 stocks we're following from rating changes. We've got 2 upgrades, NOV and Meta, and we've got 2 downgrades, IDA and FNKO. I'll show you my own portfolio now. I'm predominantly short the market. I've got a one long, which is in a solar company called SunPower. It's been down recently, well, for the last year or so because of legal cases. There are some problems within the company. But historically, it has these large spikes in price. So I thought now is a good time to get in. And hopefully, when all the news and legal cases blow over, we'll see a large boom again. This energy is a hot topic at the moment, so solar should be performing well. The rest is a mix. We've got a few pharmaceutical companies, we've got general retail, a huge mix of different shorts have accumulated. At the moment we're down. This account started with $1,000 not that long ago, so we are up overall about 6% in equity. Let's just relax before the market opens. What is everybody else trading? What are your thoughts on the whole Twitter buyout? Do you think Elon Musk is going to miraculously save Twitter and United States free speech? Or do you think it is just another layer of company that the government will be able to use in the future to manipulate public discourse? I for sure don't particularly care about social media. I think the plan going forwards should always be to build families, have lots of kids, and focus on your local community, grow that up. And you don't need the internet for that. You can just knock on people's doors. The old grassroots way of doing things, I still think wins. If you're interested in my trading history, here is my $1,000 deposit, September 21st. Here are all my trades. I have a series of red trades where I rebalanced at the beginning of this month. As you can see, I was heavily short for a while. And I've closed a few short positions recently as well. All of my trading is automated at this point. I've built my own algorithms so that I don't have to enter and close positions, although I can manually change them. It means I can focus on what's important and developing new strategies rather than spending my whole day placing trades. And as you know, at the moment, I'm focusing on upgrades and downgrades as a potential future trading strategy. But I need more data and to understand the nuances of it. My current thoughts would be that ratings that come after major news are less effective. So for example, if a company had a negative earnings surprise and then the stock fell, and then the day afterwards a major bank put a downgrade out, does that really have any impact? The downgrade has come as a result of the negative earnings release. There's a time lag, so it's useless information. Whereas if a stock seems to be fairly priced and performing all right, and there's not much news, and then there's a downgrade or two from major banks, then we should see some price movements. then my other take is that the smaller ratings firms have less impact. So I want to look at the big investment banks. That's my current thesis anyway. It may change over time. So 3 minutes away from US Open. Let's go down to a lower time frame so we can watch the Open in real time. I mean, my personal thought is it's going to go down over the next week or two, but I am biased because I'm currently short. But you'll see my trades either way, whether markets rally or they continue this bear market trend in the long term. I think with yields so high, the incentive still is to pull cash out of the market. I think that's going to continue to happen. And any more aggressive rate hikes will just continue the trend. One minute and 30 seconds till market opens. $50 seconds till market open. Twitter stock, I think, ends trading on the 8th officially. So that's an interesting tidbit. So be it publicly delisted on that day. So be removed from stock markets, so not available, and there'll be no stock prices anymore. 15 seconds till market open. Five seconds. So let's see what the S&P does. Looks like we are opening up. Let's see if we hold it. Again, I think most of the volatility is going to be later on in the day, as midterms become more and more apparent and the news covers them more. Let's have a look at TradingView, at the upgrades and downgrades, to see where the stocks we selected are opening. So we would take the short position at the open here. So at the moment, that would be in the green. IDA, we have no data on yet, by the looks of it. Meta opened up. And moved up and now is going down. Let's put in our long here. And NOV opened higher, but looks like it's coming down now. Finding the optimum holding time or exit conditions for ratings changes is another thing I need to work out. If anybody has any ideas or strategies they have tested, there are a few options. You could do stop loss at a certain percentage. You could do timed exits, so you could have 2 minutes after the market open, and you could have a threshold of a certain number of days that you close the position if a certain TP isn't hit. You can have things like 5 green days in a row to exit. All kinds of interesting exits they can test out. I feel like the market open is always anticlimactic. You always expect a ton of interest, but it's pretty similar to the pre-market most days. Seem to be getting some down movement now. As you can see, I'm down further than I was at pre-market as all the stock positions start moving. I'm quite comfortable with this loss though. I'm still happy in my short assumptions long term. I think we're likely to see this 1 week candle turn red. But I think that's about it for today. Hope you have a good trading day. I will update you tomorrow on any changes in NOV, Meta, IDA and Funko. At the moment, Funko looks excellent. IDA we have no information on. Meta is not looking good, but NOV is looking good.